Okay, let's dive in. Today we're looking at, well, arguably the most influential figure in all of human history, Jesus of Nazareth. I mean, his impact. It spans theology, culture, billions of lives, really.
Absolutely. And our goal for you today, it isn't strictly theological, it's more historical, ethical. We want to pull out the key facts about his short but incredibly packed life.
Right. His beginnings, what his ministry was really about, and maybe most importantly, the ethical insights that, still hit home today.
Exactly. And what's fascinating is, despite all the, let's say, religious debate over centuries, the core historical facts are actually pretty solid. Things scholars find, well, almost impossible to doubt.
Like what specifically? What's the baseline we're working from?
Okay, so Jesus was a real person, a Galilean Jew, born somewhere around, say, 6 to 4 BC. And crucially, we know he was executed, publicly crucified under Pontius Pilate, the Roman governor.
When was that again?
Probably around AD 30 or maybe 33. That part, the execution under Pilate, that's like historical bedrock.
Got it. Okay, so stepping back then, his early life, Nazareth. We know his parents were Mary and Joseph.
Correct. And interestingly, the Gospels give us two different family trees, genealogies. Matthew traces him back through King David to Abraham. Luke goes even further, all the way back to Adam and thus to God.
So that's quite a claim. What about his job before all the public stuff started, the carpenter thing?
Ah, yeah, the carpenter. The Greek word is tekton. It's often translated that way, but it's broader. Think builder or craftsman.
So not just tables and chairs?
Probably not just. He might have worked with stone, wood, involved in general construction, building houses, maybe even working on some Roman projects nearby. It really grounds him in the, the working life of Galilee back then.
And this was his life until he was about 30.
Yeah, the sources say about 30 years old when his public ministry kicked off, right after being baptized by John the Baptist. Probably around AD 28 or 29.
So a really short public career then. What was the main thing he did?
Well, his core activity was being an itinerant teacher, a wandering rabbi, essentially. He gathered followers, disciples.
And the famous 12 apostles.
Right, appointing those 12. That wasn't just picking a team. It was a hugely symbolic act. It was seen as kind of an apocalyptic message.
Apocalyptic? How so?
It was understood to represent the restoration of the 12 tribes of Israel, signaling that God's final intervention, the end times prophecy, was potentially starting right then.
Wow. Okay, that puts his teaching about the kingdom of God in a different light. He taught it was coming soon, but also somehow already here.
Exactly. Both imminent and present. It's complex. And alongside this teaching, you have the healings, the exorcisms, the miracles.
Right, the famous miracles. What's the key takeaway there, historically speaking?
What's really interesting is how often the sources say he attributed the healing not just to his own power, but to the faith of the person being healed.
So it wasn't just a display, it was linked to belief.
It seems so. It shifts the focus, from just spectacle back to the individual's response and the core spiritual message.
So if the miracles were maybe secondary to faith, then his main achievement, his lasting legacy, it must be the teaching itself, right?
I think that's fair to say,
Yeah.
Especially the ethical core. When someone asked him to boil down the entire Jewish law, hundreds of commandments.
Yeah, what did he say?
He gave two principles. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart. And the second is just like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself.
That's incredibly simple and powerful.
It's radical, reducing everything to love of God and love of neighbor, plus adding things like loving your enemies, forgiveness. That's the ethical foundation that resonates so widely.
And you see that resonance way beyond Christianity, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. He's revered as a major prophet, even a messiah figure, in Islam, for instance. Also in the Druze faith, the Bahá'í Faith.
Why do you think that ethical message crosses those boundaries so effectively?
I think it's that focus on compassion, especially for the marginalized, the outcasts, the needy. Think about parables like the prodigal son. It's all about forgiveness, welcoming back the lost. That speaks to a universal human experience.
So the lesson for us, for you listening, might be looking at the power of those core ethics of love, compassion, and how they transcend specific doctrines.
Precisely. It pushes you to think not just about what you know, but why it matters. The why behind the knowledge.
Okay, so to sum up, Jesus of Nazareth, a real historical figure, a Jewish teacher from Galilee, known for radical ethical teachings centered on love and this idea of the kingdom of God.
And we know historically his life ended brutally with crucifixion. That's agreed upon by pretty much all scholars.
Right. But here's the final thought to leave you with. His movement started small, focused on Jewish renewal. His death, crucifixion, was a mark of failure in Roman eyes, a criminal's end. So how did that moment, that historical failure, almost instantly become the theological bedrock for a religion that changed the world?
Hmm. It all hinged on the belief in his resurrection. Something unseen in the historical record, but fiercely believed by his followers.
It makes you think about the sheer power of narrative, right? How belief can transform apparent failure into foundational strength, something to ponder.